Hey everyone. You know, I know for a fact that not a lot of people are looking forward to the potentiality of a G5 occurring. But there's been a lot of reports and everything about what G5 is going to be like. The only question though we have is when and where it will debut. Potentially, it's supposed to debut a year after Season 9, which is the quote-unquote possible last season, airs. In other words, when Season 9 ends in late 2019, we have to wait until almost a year later, or maybe several months later, till we get G5. But there's a lot of questions that people ask about when it comes to G5, and it's all because of the speculation and sources and reports and leaks that have been coming out. In case you don't know, several months ago and over the past few months, Hasbro has had a lot of leaks leaks, if you will, of information opened up on the internet. They basically have a lot of data or intel, if you will, opened up to the public unintentionally. Some might say that some of these leaks, hacks, if you will, all occurred or all started back in basically in late September, early October of last year, almost a year ago. Yeah, almost a year ago. Because around this time, about a year ago, basically the MLP movie, which is going to be showing up on Hulu very soon, from what I understand, was leaked online, pirated, if you will, online, courtesy of somebody that was, I guess, at one of the early showings or something, and they were able to get what's known as a hard drive copy or something like that, and they were able to distribute it because of that. I don't know. Because apparently a lot of the movies nowadays are on hard disk or on flash disk or whatever, or flash drives. You know, external drives, if you will, that get deposited or mailed out to all these other, theaters and cinemas around the country and if not the world. But with that said, a lot of people will point out the fact that when that occurred, that's when the whole leakage ball started rolling. Because not long after that, we started to get information about not only Season 8 before it happened, but we also started to get information about Season 9 and basically information about Gen 5. Now, some of the information as far as Season 8 is concerned has turned out true and some has not turned out true. And the same could be said for Season 9. We don't know exactly what it's going to be like. We can only speculate. But as far as Season 9 goes, according to some of the leaks that came out, basically it's supposed to be the last season. Supposed to be. We're not totally sure yet. But then comes G5. G5 has the information that's been leaked about Generation 5, about how the characters are going to look, how they're going to be presented, and exactly where they're going to live, has gotten a lot of discussion. Some of the discussing points that people talk about is where they're going to live. So, unlike what you got here in Generation 4, apparently all ponies and other creatures will have their own worlds to live on that are going to be connected via this tree of life, or I guess G5's interpretation of the Tree of Harmony, all these planets or lands or worlds, however they're going to be presented, are going to be connected via this tree, and these connections, I guess, are going to serve as bridges to the tree for all these races to meet up and discuss certain situations or something like that. That is some of the leaked information, or that's some of the information that's been leaked that's gotten people wondering whether or not Generation 5 will be a good idea. The other thing is, like I say, the changing of the characters. It's not just the changing of the characters, as far as their race is concerned, but sometimes there are significant changes as well. Now, race-wise, some of the ponies, some of the main 6 are going to be switching races. Like Twilight is not going to be a unicorn or an alicorn anymore. Basically Twilight's not going to be an alicorn or a unicorn anymore. She's going to be a straight up Earth pony, just like Applejack is right now. Just like Pinkie Pie is. But Pinkie, speaking of her, she's going to end up being turned into a Pegasus. Rainbow Dash, who's already a Pegasus, is going to remain that way, but from what has been described, will have more of a design that's similar to Hippogriff's. So I guess she's going to be part Hippogriff pony? I don't know. Fluttershy is going to be a unicorn, and Rarity is going to remain that way as well. And apparently Spike's going to live on his own planet along with other dragons. Now, and Applejack's going to remain an Earth pony as well. Now, that might not be much of a big deal because, if you're going to do a reboot or a retcon, immediately after the most recent interpretation, you're bound to see some changes to characters to kind of freshen things up. But Applejack, yeah, she's going to remain an Earth pony, but her design's kind of going back and forth. Her design looks like it's going to be a complete different overhaul of what she is now. It looks like it's going to be similar to what she has, but with a few differences here and there. But the biggest thing is Applejack, according to what Moliminous said in one of his videos, is she's going to become more urban than country. Yeah. More urban than country. What that means is, well, let's put it this way. No offense when I say this, but when you go into a place like Los Angeles, or a city like Detroit, or some parts of New York, there's always that urban area, that street-like mentality area. So basically what they're saying basically what I'm getting from that is Applejack's going to be more street smart than country, despite what she's going to look like. Either she has a completely different overhaul, or she has a design that's similar to what she has now. She's supposed to be more of a street smart pony, or a street smart Earth pony, than a country pony. Now, some people may not have a problem with that, some do. But then again, there's the other thing that people are going to probably be up in arms about. The changing of the character voices. Yeah. Apparently, the voice actors and actresses we have now are going to be gone, and they're going to be replaced by different people. We also found out that the studio that's going to be animating it is going to be an animation studio that's helped out with the MLP movie, so they're going to be the ones helping out with being in charge of the animation for this one. Whether or not they retain or bring in some of the animators from DHX that worked on Friendship is Magic to kind of help out is up in the air. But yeah, they got a new animation studio that's going to be working on this. One that Hasbro actually owns, and like I said, has worked on help provide some animation and work on the MLP movie. So it's going to be really interesting on what their take's going to be like. again, whether or not they bring in some of the animators that have worked on Friendship is Magic from DHX, that's totally up in the air. We don't know if they're going to be brought in or they're not. But then the other big change is the other big change apparently is this is going to be aimed at an older audience. Yeah. According to Moliminous, according to what Moliminous has reported, according to some of the leaks and sources reporting it, G5 is supposed to go around, is supposed to be targeting, or is scheduled to target, that demographic that are fans of Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, you name it. That's the audience they're targeting. Basically, they want to turn this interpretation of My Little Pony Generation 5 from a TVY and at times TVY7 product to a TV PG product, or TVY7 with FV under there, fantasy violence. But mostly, it sounds like they want to target TV PG, because it's supposed to be aimed at an older audience. Now, that strategically, easy for me to say. Now that strategically does sound like a good idea, but strategically or strategy-wise, even though it sounds like a good idea, it may be their downfall. Because a lot of folks out there have always associated, whether or not even to this day, whether or not they accept adult fans like myself, like Silver Quill and Dr. Wolf and Anthropony and Josh Scorcher and Aramau and all of them as being fans of a show originally and still in their eyes targeted at young girls. The thing is, if the strategy plan, if the planned out strategy is to make this a TV PG show, like I said, that might be a great idea, and that might be what is needed to get some people's criticism about adults liking the show, over the hump, so maybe they can give it a chance. But it might also be a detriment because, like I said, they still view this show, despite how they feel about the adult fans now, the Bronies and the Pegasisters, and the overall MLP fanbase community. If they hear more information about this trying to be an MLP targeted towards an older audience with a PG rating, again, like I said, it's successful. Again, strategy-wise, it's a smart move because obviously they see that the fan base is growing up, they're evolving. So if you want to keep that fan base going and alive, you want to do something that's going to keep their attention. You want to make a show that's going to have a rating that's more attractive to them. But then again, you got those detractors that may be a detriment to what happens, and may be like, no, My Little Pony was never meant to be TV PG. They were never meant to be like this. What I'm saying is it might get some backlash in the end. But we don't know that. We don't know. Yeah, but yeah, one of the other changes or significant changes they're talking about is the fact that they're going to go for an older audience that's more in that Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Gravity Falls like demographic, and thus possibly go into that TV PG category that is a lot more appealing and a lot more attractive to the human eye. But then again, as much of a positive direction as that might be to go in, I should say, it might be a detriment because you'll have all these other people that still look at My Little Pony, even with Generation 4, as being mainly for young girls and not for anybody else. So giving it a TV PG rating and going in that direction is a great idea, but it also might be a detriment because you might it might have a lot of backlash following it, you know, even before the show begins. So whether or not it goes PG or they keep it at TVY7, which would be more suitable and wouldn't cause so much backlash or so much of a detriment, we'll have to wait and see. But then the other question that remains is, where is it going to be shown? What network will it be shown on? As I check my time there. Sorry, just checking the time. But you get the idea. Because when I'm looking straight, it's like I'm looking this way, and I should be, you know, it's like I'm looking straight like this, but at times it looks like I'm looking that way and I should be looking this way. So sorry about that. But anyway, the other big question is, where is it going to be aired? Where is it going to be aired? Now, according to Moliminous, it's not going to be Discovery Family, because apparently something's going on there with Hasbro and Discovery. So apparently Discovery Family's not getting it. The most likely choice, in my opinion, is either Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. That's the only other areas I can think of. Because if you look at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, and the fact that they're home to some of these shows that have had TV PG ratings, then it only makes sense that G5 of MLP might show up there. Now, if it remains on Discovery Family, that's great. But I think if they're aiming towards that TV PG rating or TVY7 rating, they're going to have to schedule it as either an afternoon show, even on the weekends, or a late morning show, or it's probably going to end up in another channel or another place, period. In fact, I think one of the biggest nominees right now could be Netflix or Hulu. One of those two that could take it. But from a cable channel perspective, the two that I can think of are most likely would be Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. The reason I say Cartoon Network is Cartoon Network's getting Transformers Cyberverse, so it would only make sense that they end up getting G5 of My Little Pony. Nickelodeon has had some Hasbro shows and could still potentially get more, and Nickelodeon's international channels have MLP already, so why not the US or North American version end up getting it as well? You know, that's another question that needs to be answered. Will it stay on Discovery Family or will it go elsewhere? But overall, when you look at Generation 5, we won't really know anything. We won't know anything solid or solidified or accurately until we get closer to Season 9 and possibly next year at San Diego Comic-Con or even BabsCon. Here's what I look at. We won't know any more information or any legit, accurate information, solidified information until BabsCon, San Diego Comic-Con, and BronyCon. Those are the three events that will probably get the most likely information, the most legit information and accurate, solidified information on G5. And it's probably we'll also find out whether or not Season 9 will literally be the last season, or if they see the success that MLP still has and we end up getting a 10th season instead. So again, we won't know anything about G5 until possibly BabsCon, San Diego Comic-Con, and then most likely the last ever BronyCon. Unfortunately, that's what it's going to be next year. So, but that's just my thoughts on some of the information that's been leaked about My Little Pony G5